Welcome to the final episode of our Mörk Borg series, everyone. This series we sat down with Pelle Nilsson, the writer of Mörk Borg, an apocalyptic dark fantasy RPG about dealing with the end of the world in a very heavy metal-inspired setting. We are also joined this series by Agatha Cheng, one of the hosts of the Asians Represent podcast, filling in for Amelia. And I wanted to thank both of our guests for being absolutely amazing. This episode, we finish up our discussion series and get into some remarkable fanfic as we dive into what sort of apocalypse we would be facing together as a group. But before we get there, here's what to expect in our calls to action. Join me after the show for our normal show closer stuff, Patreon information, and thank yous. Keep it simple this time. Also, a sneak peek into what our next series brings us. With all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone. On the last episode of Character Creation Cast, we learned a bit about Pelle's RPG origins, discussed how the character creation process went for Mörk Borg, and we're just about to hop into our fanfiction section. We're picking up right where we left off last time. Enjoy.
Speaking of stories, let's discuss our stories. How would we like the story of our three characters to play out?
I'm very curious how we initially became a party, right?
I feel like, okay, I have a feeling that Noggle and Ryan, I don't remember your character's name.
I don't remember my character's name.
Yeah. I was Terras, the wretched royalty.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was Harka.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we might have met first.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I also feel like maybe you met one of us while trying to take our teeth because you thought we were dead.
Well, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can absolutely see that happening. Like, I don't have the best equipment, but I've got a femur. I can certainly knock those teeth out. But like, yeah, I can imagine just like, all right, they don't seem to be breathing. I guess I'll go for it. And then you wake up as with this person with a fever raised above their heads, and one hand with a rusty hook in it. That must have been quite the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think,
gosh,
I have a lot of silver as well. Like, I rolled 150 pieces of silver. So that I'm, even though I'm wretched royalty, I'm still quite rich. And I think I'm hunted by the army that I abandoned before. So maybe I found you and kind of need you to protect me from all the guys that are that are hunting me
did
as well.
Like hired help, to like to basically be the quote unquote enforcers, even though you're our best warrior amongst us.
Yeah.
I need some human shields. Here's some money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could also be as you are running away from your former friends, where we see you and we're like, whoa, do you hear the sound from their backpack? That sounds like someone with a lot of silver. And then I can spit on one of them and then be like, come with us. I can.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. No, I think, I would love it if we found you like in a tumble with one of your old friends who was trying to, you know, take you in, right, for deserting the army, and then we just get that nice like off-screen projectile.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I keep remembering that you also have your court jester companion.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the pauldron, right? Yeah. So like it's so distracting, right?
Oh.
So that must have been really weird. You're such like you've got like weapons everywhere. This pauldron,
scale armor,
the scale armor, yeah. Like this person definitely has money. We got to stick to them. We got to save them, and like that money and those resources should get us pretty far. And then we find out later, oh, this person's hunted because they deserted the military. And I'm curious, do we hear your sword as well, or are you the only one that can hear it?
Yeah.
That's a little bit up to what I think it would be fun if you can hear it talk as well. How it insults me.
That would be amazing.
That would be fun.
It'd be so good.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Of course, it could also be fun that you didn't hear it, and I was talking to the sword, and you couldn't comprehend what I was talking about when the sword was insulting me. But yeah, I think it could be fun if you hear the sword as well. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of our adventures are going to be us running away from...
It does feel that way, right?
One force or another, because I am also followed by evil creatures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or, we could go on a pilgrimage for me to rid myself of my spores. We could be looking for this mystical thing called deodorant. Whatever that is.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like survival is our main goal, right?
Yeah, definitely.
In this game, yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like, I'm curious how long this guardian angel, I'll put in quotes, has been following me around for. Like, is this... I'm picturing this as like my imaginary friend from when I was little and just has never gone away.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, that's just Bob. I'm the only one that can see Bob. He's just there. It's fine. I'll talk to him every now and then. He never talks back. He just blinks a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I love that.
Awesome.
He makes me feel better. It's fine.
I love that it's actually magical and it actually helps you, but everyone feels like it's not real.
Oh, and like everybody feels uneasy by it. So like that explains why they don't heal as fast, because like, well, you're just worried about this weird like imaginary creature that's following me, right?
No, we're just worried about you because we think
exactly.
You're
Meanwhile, Bob is like siphoning your energies while you're resting and making it take longer.
Yeah.
And giving all that energy to me. Like, he's nice. Bob. If you could only see him.
I've seen enough.
I know. So much. Well, I mean, so we're trying to survive from this stuff, but is there rules for what sort of apocalypse we're kind of coming up to? Or like, I wonder what sort of like end of the world scenario is starting to happen, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Because I mean, we've got all of these weird evil creatures coming at us, and my gosh, the creatures in this book are frightening.
Yeah.
I just happened upon the Lady Porcelain undead doll, and that startled me a little bit.
Oh, what page has the rules for the end of the world, the apocalypse?
it's right after the setting. So it's on page 16, the calendar of Necrobal. Necrobal is kind of a deity or something like that. Nobody really knows, but that's the countdown. And the and you decide playing a campaign.
Oh, that's interesting.
What die you want to use? If you want to use D100, D20, D10, and so on down to D2. And every time you roll a one of the miseries happens, which are on the other page on that spread, the Psalms, and you have you can cross that out on the character sheets as well. If you check the bottom right corner, there are you can cross them out, but different stuff happens, and you can randomize the Psalms as well. Mm-hmm. You can roll a d6 and then another d6 to check exactly what happens. If there are dead birds falling down from the sky and whatever might happen. And when you hit the 7th misery, the world is end. So, of course, if you choose to use the D2, you roll a 1 quite often. So then the world will end very fast, like 2 weeks or something, because you roll this die once a day.
Oh, goodness.
So, yeah. So you can check that also. If you use a D100, it's years of pain, of course. And if you have a D6, it's more or less a month that the world will last, since it's 5 weeks, more or less. Yeah,
well, that's interesting.
That's how that's quite important and puts a lot of flavor into the game and adventure seeds for the GM as well when the miseries happen. So you can create a lot of adventures around that as well.
Yeah, I really like that. I find that so interesting in a game that is otherwise very open-ended to have this very strong narrative structure.
Yeah, and one adventure could be, like we talked about earlier, could be that you want to try to stop this apocalypse from happening. So let's see if we can do that. Probably not, but could be the case.
Well, I went ahead and rolled for one of those miseries just to see what I would come up with. And I rolled a 3-1 because you roll a D66 for that. And that says, at graven tusk, the soil shall grow warm, and those who rest be made to walk. Which definitely sounds like zombies and skeletons, right? That sounds amazing. I love the thought of us just in this like dark, cruel world, just trying to survive. And then all of a sudden, all of these like really weird things start happening beyond what's already been happening to us.
Yeah. I'm also wondering what the etiquette is in taking teeth from the dead when they have risen again.
Right?
Is it okay?
Well, I mean, they're technically still dead, right?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, that's very curious because it's open ended. Is it a matter of they are mindless automaton things controlled by some sort of magic, and therefore there's no consciousness, or is it they're made to walk and they've got their old personalities? It's just their body's not in the best shape anymore. It would be really interesting to explore that latter one in a very dark fantasy world. Like this whole community comes back and it's now like, a celebration of people coming back, and it's not so scary, but it is because they're all like various states of decay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a wild, like I could absolutely see the dark humor like shining through in that scenario. I'd be really interested in playing that out instead of here's this horde of zombies and skeletons to fight.
Yeah. Yeah. I think them being sentient would fit with the vibes.
And it's just such a weird, like, flip of the trope too, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Now we gotta like get loved ones in like herd them to their ancestor, their
or maybe we need to bring them
successors.
specifically to this location because only here is the earth warm and the dead will rise.
Yeah.
So it's like, everyone's like making pilgrimages with
people are making pilgrimages with their they have to rebury their descendants.
Yeah. And this place becomes like bustling commercial center.
Oh, that is.
And they can like sell dirt to
it's
others.
Not like a one-time thing. It's a like once you're buried, you just come back up.
Oh my goodness!
You can't do much else past that. I mean, but you know, you're still around forever.
I love it. So,
oh, that's so disturbing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. I love the possibilities that this game has. It's like open-ended enough to especially like that whole psalm, like very biblical sort of imagery with the miseries.
Yeah.
Like and how open to interpretation it can be. That's really cool.
They are very open for that. So.
I mean, except maybe the last one where the world ends, right? But
not much to do about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's quite clear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because like if this were the first one and the sentient people are coming back to life and they're constantly coming back to life, like the people could see that as a blessing. Like, oh, we've lived in such a cursed world for so long and now people are coming back. Like this is wild and miraculous and everything, and we get more time with our loved ones. But like this is just the precursor to a lot of really bad stuff happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what sort of time scale are we thinking for our group on that then? Like, would we do like a season or like, is this like a year sort of thing?
I like a D6, like a month. I feel like with these kind of games that are like really, really bleak and dark, I like it really punchy and short. Yeah. So it's just like bad things.
But not like too fast, right?
Yeah, but not right away.
Yeah,
but maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, D6 sounds fun. A cruel month.
Yeah, that's really cool. And when you created that sort of system, did you do like the math on like how often it would come up as a 1 and whatnot, or were you just like, this feels right?
No, I was calculating about
very cool.
how much time it would be. So, and also, I thought about if it would work with the normal dice, and and it could. Like a D2 is 2 weeks and D6 1 month and so on. So that's
amazing.
Yeah, that was calculated, and it's more or less exactly how much it will last. Of course, with the D100, but statistically, it will be a couple of years with the D100. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's really cool. So like if you want a long campaign, do that Years of Pain there, and I can imagine the gravitas of rolling a 1 in the D100 case being like a lot more like, oh no, what's going to happen now, compared to like the D2. It's like, I'm expecting this to happen fast.
Yeah, it's 700 days, more or less.
Wow.
2 years.
Oh, that's amazing. Awesome. Well, gosh, I mean, that these people are going to be in misery in short order.
Yeah.
It's what we could say about that.
The good thing is they might die before that.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? They might come back then.
Oh, that's true.
They'll just come back as an NPC. Like, what? You buried me in that cursed place? What are you doing?
Yeah.
We liked your company. Amazing. Well, let's go into our final segment, our advancement segment, and take it up a level.
Yeah.
Take it up a level. Take it up a level.
In this segment, we will cover character advancement and growth in the system. So, how do characters advance in Mörk Borg, and what happens mechanically?
Yeah, it's actually this way, and it's called that you're getting better or worse, because you don't have to be that you advance. You can get worse as well.
I love that.
So, yeah, but there are more or less 3 things that happens when you advance or getting worse. But first, I have to mention that this game doesn't use experience points like many other OSR games and so on. It's more like milestone-y kind of game that the GM decides that now it's time for you to advance. And it could be different things, like you complete an adventure, or you kill a mighty foe, or bring home a lot of treasure, and so on. So the GM decide when it's time for advancement. So the first thing, of course, is hit points. And since you have quite a low of hit points, amount of hit points in the beginning, that one is quite easy to advance, because you roll 10 d6s. No, 6 d10s, I mean. Yep. So you roll a d10 6 times. Yeah. And if you get the amount of maximum hit points you have or more, you get more d6 more hit points to your maximum when that happens. And there's a breaking point in that system. So when you have when you have 35 hit points, it's like 50-50 if you can get any more hit points. And then after a while, it's really hard to get any more hit points. So there's kind of cap.
Yeah.
In the system.
I like that the absolute maximum you could ever get is 66 hit points.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second part is it's not that complicated. It's that you find a random item somehow. So you roll a d6, and there's 50% chance that there's nothing at all. And then you can find some silver, or you can find a sacred scroll, or an unclean scroll to add to your equipment. So that's another thing that happens when you advance. And the last part is it's about the abilities, because they can change quite fast up and down in this game. So, and it's also a kind of sets the tone of the game as well. But if you have you roll a d6 for all of your abilities. And if you hit that amount or more, you can advance with +1 in that ability. So if you have +2 in strength, for example, and you roll a d6, then you can raise that ability if you roll 2 or more. So then you add +1. So if you start up with a really bad character, like with -3 or -2, it's very easy to advance. You only, if you roll a 1, you do not advance whatever score you have. so then you don't advance.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if the maximum you can have in an ability is +6, and so that will probably get, you have to decrease that amount of when you advance, because the only way to keep that 6 when you roll a 6 on a d6. So
Right.
yeah, so that's the system with the abilities. So when you have really low ability scores, it's quite easy to advance up to +3. Then it's 50-50 after that, and it gets tougher and tougher to advance. And you can get worse as well if you roll below. If you have +5, it's probably the case that it will decrease next time you advance in the system. So that's why it's called getting better or worse.
Right.
That's that might be a bit unique with Mörk Borg as well, because in all of the games I know of, you only get better and better all the time. So yeah,
that's very cool. Yeah, and I do like that this is one way to get the scrolls that you had mentioned as well. They're unclean and sacred scrolls, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like those are they just give you different powers or magic abilities or
it's
so,
like
right?
Magic powers. And when you want to use the scroll, it's very important to have a good presence ability, because terrible things can happen if you are unsuccessful with the roll. And if you roll a 1, we have a table for magical miseries as well in the book.
Oh.
So something terrible happens then.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't terrible things happen?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I was looking at the sacred scrolls and the unclean scrolls. Like, some of the unclean scroll examples is Psalms open the southern gate is a ball of fire that hits up to 2 creatures, doing a d8 damage per creature. And then there's like telekinesis to move stuff. But then like the last one is death.
Yeah, that's quite powerful.
All creatures within 30 feet lose a total of 4d10 hit points. So I'm assuming that includes yourself?
Yeah, that has been a discussion in the forums, whether it should include yourself or not. But most people think it's more fun if it includes you as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like to me, right?
Yeah. And some people don't like that.
You hold on to that till once you're in the 60s for your hit points, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That's so good.
And everyone can use the scrolls. Everyone can use all the powers. But if you really have
cool.
-2 or -3 in presence, it might be good to hand over the power of the scroll to a companion to use it instead.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that they're physical objects, right, in the game.
They're physical objects that they take up a slot in your equipment list. So if you want to focus on collecting scrolls, then you have to throw away other kind of equipment. So you can...
I see you can carry strength +8 items total. So there is a little bit of inventory management in this, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Now I'm just picturing carrying my small wagon on my back.
Yeah.
Like a backpack.
You could. What if you also use your small wagon like a skateboard?
Oh, it's like an actual like radio flyer. That's all the small wagon is.
Yeah.
That dramatically changes what my definition of small wagon was for sure. But I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like the thought of like, hey, can we hook your donkey up to my wagon? It's a radio flyer. What do you want? It's like, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. For what?
Exactly. It's got a handle for a human to hold. What are you doing? I got a hook hand. What do you want?
Yeah.
I need
That's
something
why
to
you
carry
have a
my
hook
femur.
hand to
And
hook onto your wagon.
Oh, that's true. I did not think of that. Amazing. Utility and a weapon. It works.
Yep.
Oh, that's so good. So it sounds like the GM will basically hand these out based on like when the narrative demands it, right?
Yeah, like treasure and so on. You can find it down in the catacombs and in the holy or unholy temples and as rewards.
That's very cool.
So that's
okay. I am rolling for these things. I got more hit points. I am now at 7. Well,
yeah.
Powerful. I also rolled a sacred scroll. Very exciting.
Yeah.
This is a D10. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll a 3. So that's whispers past the gate. Ask 3 questions to a deceased creature. Oh yeah, that's helpful.
That's really cool.
Mm.
In these times when they're also shambling around, I can now ask them, "Hey, could you not eat me?" That could be a question.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Did your stats go up?
Let's see. I haven't. I'm still rolling them. Did yours?
My strength went down, and my everything else went up.
Oh,
that's really interesting. So that is so swingy, like especially at this level, right?
Yeah, it's very swingy.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So now I've got +1 strength instead of +2, +2 agility, +1 presence, and +1 toughness. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then, of course, 60-10 is always going to be an increase in hit points at this point, right?
At this point.
So I would gain, I'm also at 7 hit points now. So if I were to level up with that.
Mm.
And just for funsies, I also got a sacred scroll. So I don't know why I'm following the same path as your character, Agatha. But let's see what sacred scroll I get.
Okay.
A 2. Grace for a sinner. A creature of your choice gets +D6 on 1 roll.
Whoa.
Damage, test, etc. That's cool.
Yeah.
It could be my donkey.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that. It's again very quick, but like open for a lot of swinginess and randomness, which I always enjoy.
Yeah, me too.
Roll them dice. I like a game that has a lot of dice rolling and a lot of random stuff in here, and this game does not disappoint. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it also feels consistent with the rest, like like character creation, and then also just I think like combat and stuff, where everything is just like it's whenever the dice are involved, then it's just out of your hands and anything can happen. And I kind of like that.
I like that a lot too. Very cool. Well, that's pretty much everything, I think. Pelle, thank you so much for joining us to talk about Mörk Borg. This was amazing.
Yeah, it was a really fun time here. It's evening in Sweden, so
Absolutely.
my room has been getting darker and darker for
the glow of the
every
monitors.
minute here.
Yeah, it's very fitting again.
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. here in Sweden now, so it's
there you go.
It's getting late.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, especially so late over there. Can you remind everyone where they can find you online and what sorts of things you are working on?
You can find me online on Discord is the best place to go. The Mörk Borg channel on Discord. And you can also find me on Facebook and especially in the Talk Mörk Borg group that you can join in there. And yes, we have you can also email. You can find the email address on mörkborg.com, that's our homepage. So that's the easiest way to get in contact with us.
All right. Very cool.
and what I'm working on. And more stuff for Mörk Borg. It's a bit early to say what exactly. It's a bit secret, I'm sad to say, but I can't spoil anything. And then me and Johan are thinking about creating another game as well in the near future. So we'll see what happens.
Exciting.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I can mention that right now, not together with us, but a company is having a Kickstarter with an action figure. So you can get the skeleton on the cover of the book as an action figure.
Oh,
so that's
very nice.
Lots of these things happens all the time, like vinyl records and action figures and other stuff than books. So that's fun.
Oh, I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, thank you so much again for sitting down to do this with us. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in.
Call to action.
Yeah, like that.
So we are very, very close to having Amelia become free again. A couple more weeks, I believe, and she will be in pretty good shape. So well wishes to Amelia. Many thanks to our guests this series, Agatha, for very last minute agreeing to join us as a guest co-host. Agatha, always a remarkable person and remarkable host, so really glad you were able to join us, Agatha. And Pelle, you were a phenomenal guest, and I am glad we were able to make this series work. Mörk Borg is a fantastic game. The artwork speaks for itself, and it's just oozing with flavor throughout for such a wonderful game. So I can't say much more about it. Definitely check it out if you haven't yet. But we really hope you enjoyed this series, and we're really glad you stayed till the end to hear this episode. But before we let you go for the day, here's our calls to action. If you like what we're doing here and want to support the show, please head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/charactercreationcast and sign up for any of our basic tiers. Right now, they are a free trial for 7 days. Each level has a ton of great rewards associated with it. Our Sticker of the Month Club is one of my favorites at $10 and up. You can get some custom C3 dice and a personalized thank you card made by Amelia herself for $5 and up, as well as chit chats every week that we're able to do them for $1 and up. As soon as Amelia is feeling better, we will be able to get those back up and running as well. We are currently under our operating budget for the year, so any assistance here will be greatly appreciated, even $1. Heck, sign up for the free tier, and we will be giving some information out on there as soon as we have the spoons to do so. We also like to thank all of our patrons personally every episode, and in the spirit of keeping things shorter, we're grouping by 3. So let's get started. DJ G, aka Tigranosaurus, Eric Bonds, and Daryl Holiday II, thanks for your continued support. Thank you to Shadim Cabal, The Shyest Barbarian, and Benjamin Sweeney. Thanks, Lorcan McInnes, Rob Fletcher, and Kevin Brown. We are glad to have you here with us. Tentacle Duck, John Adamus, and David Chadwick, thank you for your continued support as well. Cole McCallum, Carlos Salazar, and Eric S., you are the best. Thank you. Ian Popmeyer, Sorigoth, and Liam G. You shouldn't have, but we're so glad you did. Thanks. Thank you to Brian Colm, Garden GM, and Tanglefoot. We couldn't do this without you. Blue Kryptonite, Danny, and Nicole Trainer, thanks. Liam Murray, Kenning, and Brian Kurtz, thanks for supporting our dreams. Mark E. Fair and Drew Owen, you rock. Thank you. And thank you to all of our future patrons. Your support means the absolute world to us. Every bit of support here helps tremendously, and we are incredibly grateful to all of you. If you are already supporting the Patreon or can't afford to do so right now and still want to show your support for our show, the next best way to do so is to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, or even Facebook. We'll read your review right here and thank you personally. That's all we have for today's episode. Next week, we have a brand new series starting. It is July, my birthday month, and we are covering Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Jeff and John from the System Mastery podcast. And it is every bit as delicious as that sounds. Until then, though, take care, everyone. Stay safe, drink some water, keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast, or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.